Hello. Good evening. Hello. Good evening. Who's joining us first? Hello. Who's there? Hello, Chinwei. You're first today. Good evening. Thank you for joining. Hello, Pastor Nikki. Sorry, Queen Nikki. Good evening, everyone. Hello, Anu. Good evening. How are you? Thank you for sharing. For those that have already shared, thank you very much. Please share. Ireti, good evening. Ngozi, good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening. I know you've seen the title already. Today is book review, How to Overcome the Fear of Death. I know Dr. Sunday is really excited about this book, so I'm a little bit excited as well. Even though the word death is in it, I'm still excited slightly. Hello, Emmy. How are you? Good evening. Thank you for joining. Can we invite other people as well? I understand that death is the #1 fear in the world. So I'm sure there will be somebody out there that will benefit from this, or somebody from your friend list that will benefit from this. So please invite as many people as possible. It's Saturday today, so there's no excuse for people being at work or anything like that. Well, some people may be at work.
Day of party.
Oh yeah. I've just been reminded that it's the day of party.
Why you only go to work, you consider not only work is a day.
Okay. I was just reminded that it's a day of party.
It's a chilling day.
Okay, if it's a chilling day, it's also an opportunity for you to listen to this. So you're not bound by the duties of work. So invite as many people as possible. Don't just copy onto your page by sharing, but also invite people individually. Hi, Jane. Good evening. Thank you for joining. Informa, good evening. Priska, good evening. Justine, how are you? Good evening. Hello, Pastor Irene. Hello, Mrs. Sharunke. How are you? Uluashegun, good evening. Bridget, good evening. Thank you all. Miss Song, good evening. Good evening, everybody. Femi, how are you? Good evening. Henry, how are you? Ikechuku, good evening. Ojo Pelumi, good evening. Theophilus, how are you? Paul, Eric, good evening. Thank you all for joining. I'm glad that you're all with us this evening. So we're doing a book review, How to Overcome the Fear of Death. So invite as many people as possible. I think someone out there will benefit from this. And also, we've all had this fear one time or the other in our lives. Some people still have the fear right now. So this book will benefit them a great deal. So please invite people and share. Thank you. Hi, Fran. How are you? Oluwatoyin, good evening. Hi, Paul. Good evening. Frank, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. As you know, 7 p.m. program in Ukraine. So it's 7 p.m. here in Ukraine, in UK 5 p.m. and in Nigeria 5 p.m. You know we have 3 alternate programs. So we're having book review today. Sometimes we have attributes, and other times we may have I'm getting distracted here with lots of men hugging. So, book review, attributes, and kingdom fruits. They're all wonderful programs. There's no way that you won't be blessed or inspired by any of these programs. So join us every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every single day. And you will find one of these programs is on. So it would either be a book review, as we're going to have now, or we'll have attributes, which are 50 attributes of Dr. Sunday that we can all cultivate, or we can all develop, or we will discuss. And also we have the kingdom fruits. Kingdom fruits are those of us, or those people out there, followers, that have been following Dr. Sunday's teaching And through that teaching in the last year, they've developed a project or they've set up something for themselves, and we showcase them here on at 7 p.m. on Dr. Sunday Adelaja's Facebook channel, and we also post it on YouTube. So Dr. Sunday's YouTube is Sunday Adelaja Official. That's Sunday Adelaja Official. Please check it out. There are wealth of resources for you there. And also you can go to his website, which is sundayadelajablog.com. So today, without further ado, one thing first, guys, let's share, and also invite our friends before we start. So we're going to turn the camera now, and we're going to start. We have many people around here awaiting this book review, and I know you guys are also awaiting. So without further ado, let's start. Okay.
Hello, everyone. You can't just believe with how much anxiety I am doing this program today. I am so full of anxiety. It sometimes happens to me, especially when I know what to expect. When I'm aware of what to expect, that is when I really become conscious and a little bit, anxious, you could say. Because I'm anxious today because of the topic that we are going to be addressing right now. And the topic is the fear of death. How to overcome the fear of death. How to overcome the fear of death. Now, can you believe that? How to overcome the fear of death? Statistically, there is no greater fear that human beings have than the fear of death. The fear of death is the greatest fear. It's the greatest of all fear. That fear is what is driving us to do a lot of what we do. It is the fear of death that makes us to compromise. It is the fear, because, when somebody says he's hungry and he needs to survive, I'm sure you've heard of statements like, I need to survive, I need to make a living. Well, that is talking about the fear of death right there. Where is it? We didn't do the cover, right? Did they do the cover?
We didn't do the cover, but I have.
So, the fear of death, I will have to. It's a new book. How to Overcome the Fear of Death is the new book that I've just released, and I had it on Amazon already. How to Overcome the Fear of Death. I don't know. Let me see if I will find it. So how to overcome the fear of death. Oh yeah, it's there. Very much there. Yeah, so I'm going to be able to show you the cover for this one. I will show them now. So, but I'm so excited about it because I know what is in the book. A lot of you have read my books and you've been blessed, but I don't know if you even have an idea of what is in this one. You can see. In fact, I'm afraid by the time you finish reading this book, you will say, Pastor Sunday, this is your very best book. That you will probably think or say, no book is better than this one. This book here, in fact, after reading this book, I'd written it in Russian language, so it was translated to English. You know what Russian people began to say? They said they are ready to die. In fact, they began to desire death more than life after reading this book. The fear of death was totally broken. And because, I don't know why, but European believers, for some reasons, they just don't have any expectation of what is coming after death. They just mostly think, okay, we'll see, whatever happens, happens. But after this book, everybody just want to die now. So how to overcome the fear of death is an incredible book. But don't let me just tell you about it. Let me go through some of the chapters in this book with you. And I'll probably involve some of the people here for us to discuss a little bit, maybe. So in the first chapter of this book, I started by just talking about the advantage of death. The advantages of death. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. For me, as far as I'm concerned, if you are not looking forward to death, I really doubt your Christianity. I really doubt your faith. I don't say you are not a believer, but I doubt the quality of it. You know, if you are not looking forward to death, something is wrong somewhere. I don't say you should die now, because I'm not going to die now. Each time I say that, by the way, each time I talk about death in my program or even in the church, people tell me, Pastor, no, we are praying for you. No, you are not going to die. But I'm not saying I'm going to die now. And especially with the confession fat that Christians have, you know, that don't confess it, rubbish. So Jesus, all the people in the Bible confess it. Is that why they died? No. You know, but I know when I'm going to die. I know when I'm going to die. I don't know the date, but I sure know I don't know the date, but I sure know the age when I'm going to die. So I can talk about it all I want. That's not going to kill me, okay? So that confession thing is not working. But if I could choose, I would have chosen to go earlier because I know the advantages of death. I really want everybody to fall in love with death after reading this book. I really dream that, in fact, but no doubt about it, that after reading this book, in fact, if you have anybody that is sick or old and is afraid of dying, get this book for them. So the first chapter, the advantages of death, the benefits of death. Then here I spoke about, are you ready to die today or tomorrow? That's the test. If you are not ready to die today or tomorrow, you've not lived right. In my own understanding and my teachings, I teach that everybody must live their life in such a way that you should finish doing everything you want to do by 40. Every other thing should just be a plus, you know, an additional kind of thing, you know, a bonus. But you should be ready mentally to die from 40. So you should have a legacy already by 40. That doesn't mean that your days on earth are finished, but at least you should have secured the minimum requirement of life by 40. So if that's not there, it means you are a late bloomer. You know, if you are a late bloomer, then there is also a system for you to accelerate. And that's what I wrote another book on, how to regain your lost years. So you could accelerate, and there are methods and strategies for that as well. So then I speak here about the subtitle here. It says, so what is death after all? What is death? Actually, what is death? What is death? Some people think, if I ask now, okay, maybe I should just go ahead and ask. Anybody want to answer? What is death? Queen Anastasia, you are the one talking about Father God. No, what do you call Daddy God? Daddy God. Come close. You've got to come closer today. You are the one talking about, is it, do you say Daddy God?
Yes.
Yeah, Daddy God. So you must know. Daddy God should have revealed it to you somehow. Let me know.
Sorry.
What is death actually?
To me, death is, in Daddy God's perspective, is all about finishing your mission here on earth and going to be with your daddy, just like I'm sitting next to you, and enjoying your present, enjoying
Yes.
the reality. Here is just temporary. It's just a temporary experience. It's just like a blip in eternity.
By the way, she's having a slippers here or a shoe here that reminds you of heaven. It's a picture you cannot see. It's heavenly. It's heavenly. I'm looking at it. It's like walking the golden street. These are the kind of things you might be using over there to walk that golden street. Eh? Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Can you see it? It's nice. Yeah, I'm sorry. You can go ahead about heaven now. Because that one reminded me a little bit about heaven.
So, like I was saying, when you have Daddy God's perspective, you're not so much consumed in the here and now, the physical, the superficial, but you really having that experience of eternity. So, for example, I'm here with Dr. Sunday, and I know he's my best mentor in the whole wide world. I see him as my daddy, and as I'm sitting next to him, he is my reality. This is the reality. In fact, it's like when I come to
father figure.
Yeah, when I come to Kyiv, I feel like I've left Earth and I've come to heaven. That's what it feels like. It is the reality of the kingdom. I experience love, freedom, joy, peace.
Yeah. Another reality.
Another reality. So
the fourth dimension.
The fourth dimension. So such that you don't even remember UK. And I'm sorry that I know at one point in time my husband was concerned.
We will push him. We will bring him. We will drag him alongside.
He was
to love Ukraine.
Yes. So now he does love Ukraine. But honestly, when I come to Ukraine, you don't even remember UK because this is the reality.
Totally different. Yeah.
And I remember the first time when I came to Kyiv, and I said, there's something that has happened. There's something different that happened. And Dr. Sand explained to me, because I've entered the kingdom. Yeah. And for a long time, and I've been a Christian for 30 years, and I'd been wondering, and I used to ask myself, what is wrong with me? Something felt that was missing. I didn't know what it was. At one point in time, I thought I was rebellious. I just couldn't put my finger on it. But as soon as I came into contact with Dr. Sanin, I came to Kyiv, and I just noticed that something had been met, something had been answered. And he said it was the kingdom. So really and truly, death is just you entering the kingdom in its reality. You're not even going to remember earth and all those other things that you think is reality. You will even forget that there's something called earth. Yeah. So you're experiencing Daddy God. Just imagine Daddy God, joy, peace, love.
It's going to be like real, like this,
like
with me sitting here.
That's what it is. Yes, that's the reality.
Okay. So, anybody also want to talk about death? What is death?
I think.
No. Let him just come close. Okay. What is death?
Thank you, Dr. Sunday. I think the thought of death brings so many layers to me. One of them, I think about spiritual death, and then I think about physical death. So every time I hear death, I also sometimes equate death to connect it to the fear of death, because
most people,
because death carries a huge weight around it. I was watching a video online and I saw a prank. They played a prank on a young woman as if there was a dead person in a coffin, and they, kind of like tricked her into an elevator, and then they said, "Oh, hold on," and then they brought a coffin with a human being in there. The person wasn't dead, but it was a prank. So they put the coffin and said, "Hold on," and then they found a way to operate the elevator to close without her control. So she freaked out. It was a prank. The person in the coffin wasn't dead. And there was a camera in the elevator watching her reaction, and she completely lost it because of the fear of a dead person in the same elevator. And at some point, the person in the coffin pushed the coffin open and kind of like slumped. So she had a nervous breakdown. She fell on the floor. But I discovered that fear of death has a huge strength of fear it carries. It completely paralyzes you, the fear of it. So when I think about
What is change? Don't
Okay,
change it.
okay, it's fine.
Back. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead after.
Yeah, so the fear of death brings two things to mind. Number one is a spiritual death, which is disconnection from the Spirit of God. That is, to me, the first level of death. And then also the physical death, you know, the dismembering or disconnection from the body, absent from the body by different kinds of means, you know, be it sickness or, you know, other kinds of processes that would make you absent from the body, and the body ceases to be. And then maybe the third layer of death could be the death, you know, in hell, you know, like the scriptures talked about. So, but of all this level of deaths, I believe that the physical death is the most crippling of all, you know, concept of death. You can be spiritually dead and not, you know, be afraid or not even have any clue that that has taken place. But the physical death itself has that fear, and I think that is the ultimate connection with fear. Everything on earth is linked to the fear of death. You know, if you're afraid of heights, you're ultimately afraid of death. If you're afraid of spiders, you're ultimately afraid of death. If you're afraid of snakes, you're ultimately afraid of death. So every fear, if you're afraid somebody's going to hurt you, it's eventually connected to the fear of death. So I feel like the fear of death of all three is the one that paralyzes human beings the most. And everything on earth is mostly driven by the fear of death and connected to the fear of death. And the idea that one will die,
And someone doesn't know what will follow.
they will know what, and then the unknown, the uncertainty that is connected to death, I also think is what reinforces the fear of death, because people feel they're not prepared, people feel what's gonna happen. People also, I think the fear of death also brings a form of loneliness to it, because if someone is diagnosed with a terminal disease, it's a lonely place to be, when you feel like you're the only one staring death in the face at the time. The only thing people around you can tell you, sorry, everything is going to be all right. But that fear that grips you at the time when that news is announced, you know, I feel like it's what drives the paralysis that comes with it. Like, okay, what's going to happen? How is this going to happen? What is the transition for me? You know, so that's what comes to mind every time I think about death, the weight of the fear behind it.
I see.
Yes. It's better.
Is it not? Like that? That's the book we're talking about. Now, that's exactly true what we just heard. Everybody is afraid of death, but your target and the purpose of this book is to get you to a place where you will not be afraid of death, where you will look up to death even. So what is death? That is a sub-chapter in this book. What is death? Death actually is meant by God to be your graduation, your celebration, and your freedom. Death is your deliverance. Death is your celebration. Death, even if you are going to hell, death is still a deliverance for you. But in hell, it's going to be worse than on earth, but it's still a deliverance. Death delivers you from your limitations, from the limitation of the body, and from the prison of the flesh. So I'm describing death here, and I'm making death look so attractive that people will know that death is a great thing. So then I speak about that life, actually, we think we have life right now, but life actually begins only after when we die. So your life, the one you think you know now, is actually beginning when you die. The only thing that happens on the earth is that you came here to recognize yourself, to identify yourself, but your real life, the only thing you have done here on earth is just to get acquainted with yourself. But your real life is starting after death. After either you're going to be in hell or in heaven. But I'm not talking about hell in this, but I'm talking about heaven. I want to concentrate on about heaven. Make heaven so attractive that you rather want to go to heaven than to go to hell. So then another chapter here talks about, so who is qualified to go to heaven? That's another question for you. Who is qualified to go to heaven? Who? That's a big question. It's not so easy. Because in the Christian circles, for example, people think, well, if you receive the Lord Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, if you pray the prayer of salvation, then you are going to heaven. Well, not as easy as that. Because, for example, Jesus also said, I was naked, you didn't clothe me. I was hungry, you didn't feed me. Then he said, send him to the place where there will be gnashing of teeth and darkness, utter darkness. That's hell. So it means somebody could be a believer, but because you didn't live as a believer, you didn't recognize Christ, you were not an extension of Christ. So he didn't say you didn't confess Jesus Christ that you are going to hell. He said you are going to hell because you didn't live it. Also, when the lawyer came to Jesus and said, how do I go to heaven? He said, okay, go and obey the commands. He said, I've obeyed everything. He said, but love, go and just love. Go and love people. He said, but go and love your neighbors. He said, who is my neighbor? So he told the story about the Good Samaritan. And then the story ended by saying, if you want to live life after death, live for eternity, go and do likewise, like this Good Samaritan, and you shall live eternally. So to live eternally, he didn't even say it confessing. He didn't even say receive Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. He didn't even say go to church. So this is against our theology today. We believe that works cannot save you, that we don't get saved by work. But really, without work, we also don't get saved. Faith without works is dead. But we are not saved just by work, but without work we can also not get saved. So he said, "This go and do like this." So that's work. Go and do like this, then you get saved. Then you have eternal life. So it's not as easy. So that's the topic I'm dealing with here. So who will eventually get to heaven if it's so complex like this? And I'm giving 5 categories of people who are going to heaven in this book. That alone might make you to want to get this book. Because you need to know. You need to know. Then another topic that I have here is chapter 3. I'm talking about the body is our greatest limitation. That the body is not an advantage. We think we are great when we look great or because we have our body. No, the body is the greatest burden that we all have. The body is the greatest, what do you call that? No, there is an economic word, a financial word I'm looking for. Liability is the greatest liability you are carrying in your life, the body. So, we are living in an illusion that the body is reality. But rather, the body is the greatest liability. We live in an illusion that the body makes us who we are. But really, the body is our greatest disadvantage. And I'm proving it in this book. And I'm giving examples and all that. I hear one of the subtitles say, the body will eventually let you down, either you like it or not. So, to overcome the liabilities of the body, what do you need to do? You need to die while still alive. So if you die while still alive, you have a substantial edge over the body. And then you have an edge as well over death. So those are some of the things I'm talking about in this book. A very exciting book. In fact, when you begin to read it, you will not like to go and sleep. If you begin to read it like this, you will want to finish it to the end because it's going to blow up your mind, this book. Okay, another of the chapters that is here is talking about things on earth are only a shadow of things to come. For example, one of the things that will happen on earth one of these days is that maybe it will not happen on earth, but one of the things that the earth should strive to, I don't have the time, I will have worked on that to try to invent that. One of the greatest inventions that must happen on earth, I think this should happen on earth before Christ comes, but it might not happen. But if the earth can get to that place, then it means that the heaven is really being reflected on the earth. And one of these things, the way is when we are able to do teletransportation. When that begins to happen on earth, and I think people should begin to work on that.
It's happening.
It's happening already. Okay.
Yeah, the Chinese government just teleported matter
into
lower
space.
orbit,
Yeah, but what about maybe when we could start with that and then get to a place where all of us could be teletransported? That would be the height of civilization, because that is heaven. You see, earth is supposed to be a reflection of heaven. Okay, for example, before on the earth, there were no cities like this, no clean places like this, only very few people. But because heaven talks about, we talk about heaven, we talk about mansions. But now it's everywhere. You see buildings. These things are only a reflection of the heaven reality. So they are like the shadow, like the dark shadow of bad copy of what is in heaven. But at least a reflection, a duplication to some extent. But this other thing I'm about to say, we will never be able to get there on earth, I think. But maybe it will happen, is to eat just by looking. Or to eat just by desiring. These are the reality. Okay, for example, on earth, that's why I'm saying body is a limitation. We think we're enjoying on earth. But what do you mean you are enjoying when for you to eat, you have to go and cook it? But in heaven, for you to eat, you only need to desire it. That's one limitation of the flesh. Let me tell you another limitation of the flesh. What do you think? Why do you think that you are enjoying on earth when you need to go to the toilet after eating? Because your body is producing waste out of what you have eaten. It's not fully using up everything you use. But in heaven, when you eat, you don't need to go to toilet because your body does not produce waste. It fully assimilates whatever you have eaten. So that's why I'm saying that on earth is a bad copy of heaven and is a limitation. The body we have is a big limitation. Let me tell you of other things. In that teletransportation, what as I spoke about, why do you need to build a plane when in heaven that is a fantasy, a poor fantasy? Because in heaven, I need to be here now in Ukraine and say that I want to be in America now. The next second I'm in America. I just need to think it. By thinking it, that thinking transports me there. That thought itself. Okay, let me give you another proof that the body is a poor imitation of heaven. Look around you. Do you see trees? You are seeing trees. But what do you comprehend? What do you perceive? What do you... Some of us, we don't perceive anything again. Because seeing and all things, they don't even allow us to see the beauty. Okay, let's talk about flowers, especially for ladies. or the scent. You know, the scent of flowers and something like that. Let me tell you what heaven is. When you see a rose or flower like that in heaven, you don't just smell it and you don't just see the beauty. The beauty, no, the reality of that flower fills you up the same way as when you are eating ice cream. You know, you don't need to eat it. You are just looking at it and you are being fed. Oh. Talk about heaven. Now you say that you are going to find love in heaven. Eh? Now you say you are going to find love in heaven. Talk about heaven, somebody. Tell me about heaven. Tell me about my hometown. Huh? Tell me about my native country. Huh? You want me to talk about my native land? You want me to talk about my native land? You get me excited. Home. 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 That's why I'm dreaming of death. And you are dreaming of not dying. You don't know home. I know it. You don't know native land. I've been exposed to it. You heard about the glory of the sun, the glory of the grass, tree. When you are in heaven, you see this grass, this green grass, this lawn, the green grass, just lawn. You see that they are beautiful green lawn, especially the green. There are some green lawn. When I'm in heaven, when you are in heaven, those green lawns, they will be expressing to you their glory. You think only angels sing in heaven? No, because even Psalms talk about trees clapping their hands, singing. But the lawns, the grass will be talking to you. You'll be communicating with them. When you walk on them, on grass, but they are not like human beings that feel the pain or something. They're just grass. But you are able to comprehend the fullness of His glory. When you step on them, it's that they are blessing you. They are sending the waves. Just like you stand on something that sends a wave from your feet down to your head. You stand on them, the wave of the glory of that flower is in you. But the only thing you see is just to perceive the beauty. Oh, it's beautiful. But you are not being fed by that beauty. But in heaven, every cell of your body is feeling, and you have, let's say, 60 million or 600 million cells in your body. Every cell is perceiving. You know why God allowed love on the earth? You know, we are making a big deal of marriage. We make a big deal of love. Big deal. That is the highest desire on earth. Love, sex, love, sex, love. That's the highest aspiration. I mean, nothing better than that on earth, all right? In heaven. The reason why God allowed that to happen, love, because God Himself is love. So the atmosphere, we are breathing now. We are breathing just oxygen and you are okay just to survive. But there, the oxygen there is love. So whatever you feel when you feel orgasm, God is just trying to give you a foretaste, a pre-taste of the everyday, every second atmosphere just by just existing. But the love that you feel just by walking in the atmosphere of heaven is not just a sexual love. You feel all the dimensions of love. Like, for example, on earth there, for me to feel the love that a mother feels for the child, I need to give birth to that child. Or I need to have that child, adopt that child or something. But that is just an aspect of life. So I need to do this one separately to experience this. For me to experience sexual love, I need to sleep with somebody to have that. For me to experience a love of the mother to the, I need to, for the wife to the husband, I need to, all these are different disjuncted life. But that is just a little picture, little taste of one In heaven, it's just one thing. Everything is just one. So at the same time, you're experiencing all this pleasure. Talk to me about heaven. Anytime you meet a white person in heaven, you might want to just try to be like one. You can change to become a white person. You can change to become an Asian just to feel how they are feeling in solidarity and love. And they can change to be like you. Nobody is inferior to anybody. You want to talk about heaven? You want to talk about heaven or death? Death loses its grip and power and relevance and importance. So when it talks about the streets of gold, we don't even know what it's talking about. Because the street of gold, we look at gold here and we have some pleasure from it. But that doesn't communicate the amount of pleasure real gold communicates. Because gold, that is just the way we could express it here. But there are so many color variations. And these are being duplicated on Earth. Now on Earth, we have about 700 or maybe 7,000 colors, mixtures. But there, it's just like trillions. But here, you cannot even comprehend that. So we just say gold. But not just walking the street of gold, but when you are walking, it's like, there is a different glory that street is giving you. A different experience of pleasure, a different experience of grace, soothing. It's just like being in the aircon when it's hot. But there's no need for heat or hot, but it's just giving you some pleasure that is just unexpressible in the human eye. Just like you see the street is beautiful or something here. We are limited by everything, by every sense. Okay, for example, we only have 5 senses here, main senses. But in heaven, every one of your cells will have senses. Every one of your cells is sensing in its own, but it's sensing not together in its own unique way. And they are all in you. So, heaven, no. Forget about it. It's too much. So that's what this book is about. So here, I'm talking about that. So every progress that people ever had on earth, it's just a reflection. It's a little poor copy of what is already obtainable in heaven. So that is why if we are Christians, one of the greatest ways to prove that we are Christians is to make our earth as close to heaven as much as possible. So you cannot say you are a Christian and your country is in shambles. So what heaven are you going to? What heaven are you talking about? You cannot be talking about heaven that looks so great and beautiful. Why your environment? You don't know that in that heaven. Because if you know, you will reflect it. Your rose, we cannot be talking about rose of gold that is in heaven. That's where you know that you and if you are really sure of that is heaven, then you will reflect it now.
Yes, sir.
Because what you believe is what you act out.
Yes, sir.
If you really believe that there are mansions there, that will be your dream for your country, for your cities, that everywhere will reflect heaven. That's why thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. But Christians, they rather want to just die. They are not even reflecting God. They are disappointed to God of heaven. Because his expectation is that they will reflect that heaven that they are thinking about and talking about and praying about here, why they are here. That's why I left them here. But the reason I wrote this book is because I know that another tragedy for Christians is that they are talking about going to heaven, but they don't even know where they are going. They don't even know what to expect. So, and that's why they are afraid. Even though they are Christians, they are afraid of death. Instead of them to be rejoicing that, so they thank you for death. That I'm going home and I'm going to experience all this glamorous lifestyle. So the earth in this book, I call the earth the aroma from the kitchen, but it's not the real kitchen. It's just like we are sitting right here now. We don't know what they are cooking there, but we are smelling something. That's the only thing we are experiencing. We are not even seeing the food, talk less of eating it. So on earth, while we're here, we are not even seeing the food, talk less of tasting it all. We're only smelling. That's the best we got here on earth. But going to heaven is like entering the kitchen and going to the restaurant with the table laid. You will not only see it, but you will taste it. That's why it says that we are seeing like through dim glass. Yes. So earth is no reality. So, you know, the real reality is heaven. That's why, okay, for example, you are looking at this cloth now, you are looking at blue. But when you go to heaven, this blue color you are looking at will be feeding your cell. You are not just, you know, having perception from your eyes. Every part of your body is this thing will be mixing with you in your reality. It will be going into you and feeding, and filling you up until you become one with it. Everything you see like that. And there is no limitation to how much you can absorb like that. So you experience the full glory of that blue. Oh my. Oh, don't take me there. Don't let me go there. Don't let me go there. Don't let me go there, because heaven is unbelievable. So the earth is just an illusion, a mirage, but heaven is the real deal. Heaven is the real deal. That's why every day of my life I'm living for heaven. I don't care for earth. I speak the truth. I speak, you know, I do what I need to do. I'm not afraid of anybody, anything. I am not having fear at all. No fear in my life at all. I am, you know, just living, fulfilling heaven's desire, bringing heaven down here on earth. That is my only concern. I don't care for death. I'm not afraid of death. In fact, I'm looking for it. Okay? Looking for it anyhow. Why? Because I know too much how heaven is like. And when I live my life here on earth, I'm trying to live heaven to people. That's why I'm giving heaven to people. I'm giving heaven to people. I'm a bartender. Heaven's bartender. I'm a, what do you call them? Bartenders. The people in the restaurant. Steward, or what do you call them? Yes. Waitress. Stewards, yes. I'm a waitress, a woman. What do they call them?
Waiter.
I'm a waiter for God from heaven. Yeah. I'm heaven's waiter right there. I'm heaven's waiter. So some people are angry. Oh, okay, I didn't marry, or I didn't get a car. My church didn't grow. I don't have time for worry. I'm too captivated by the reality of it. Okay, they are suing me. I'm in court. They are, giving me a lot of troubles. I can't do what I want to do. I can't travel. I can't, my accounts are seized. My account numbers are seized. That's why I'm waiting for the problem here to start. All kind of problems Satan is trying to give me. You think I have time to to be worried and be sorrowful? You think I have time? You think I have time? I have seen the glory of the Lord. The reality I'm living in inside me here. That's why when I go to Africa, I'm going to create heaven there. Hallelujah. That's why I know exactly, I have the picture exactly of everything to change all spheres of life and everything. Because everything must reflect heaven. That's our standard. So this book here, let me show you again. This book here, you think you have read a book in your life? I don't think so. You think you have read a book in your life? Huh? You tell me. You think you have read a book in your life? Huh? Okay. You think you have read a book? Huh? You thought you have read a book in your own life? In your lifetime? Okay. Okay. You wait till you read this one. Okay? Okay? You wait till you get your hand on this one. You wait till you get your hand on this one. Okay? Okay? That's it. How to overcome the fear of death. Atheists are going to be looking for this book. Even the ones who say they don't believe in Jesus, they will be looking for this book. Because all of them want to overcome that fear. And all of them need this reality that is here. In heaven, I'm talking about here the benefits of heaven. First of all, when you get to heaven, people talk about the light. That's why there is no night. Because it's not just light. In our own understanding, light is just, no, so that I can see. In heaven, my dear, light is energy. Here, for us to get energy, we need to eat, we need to sleep. That's why you needed to sleep. But because of the light, the real light, which is energy of God in heaven, is so much energy, you will never need sleep again in your life. You will have so much energy. When is the strongest time you ever had here? It will be as if it was the most tiresome time. And there, it doesn't even deplete. You will not. The energy is so much, you will never need to sleep for the rest 100,000 million, billion, trillion years. And then it's not the one time light, but this one is light perpetually. You will even forget that darkness used to exist, or night used to exist. You will not even recollect. So light has different purpose over there. Light here is just giving you, light, to see something, and then it has different functions. But over there, light is your laughter, is your smile. Light is your energy. Light, for us to be energetic, maybe somebody needs to joke for you to laugh and be happy. But there, it is light that is giving you that. Maybe somebody needs to do something to give you good mood. Have you ever had a bad mood today, or the weather is bad or something? But there, that light alone is giving you so much full of life and energy. You've not tasted life everywhere, and that life is not you is giving. It's given to yourselves, every one of them. No, in fact, this thing here, you call it ear. This your ear, you'll be communicating with it. You'll be communicating with yourselves. You know them by name. You communicate with your eyes, with your nose. And when you breathe, the air there's no air like this as it breathes, The air there is love.
Wow.
And you don't need to breathe for that air to come to you. It fills you automatically. Yes, that's what happens. So heaven is don't let me go there. So you breathe love. You become anything you want to be. You want to go to the sea world. Here people are exploring the sea world. But there you can just go there by yourself and communicate with the fishes and with the, all the creations of the sea, of the ocean. You will communicate with these insects, with the dogs, with the animals, with the donkeys. You will talk. Who says heaven will be boring? Who said heaven will be boring? Let them get acquainted with me. Okay? Let's talk. Heaven will be boring? You tell me heaven will be boring. Tell me how many years you need to get acquainted, to get introduced or acquainted with all the birds. Even on earth, we have 800 billion birds. I'm not talking heaven yet. So try to go how many days that will take you for you to just get to know them alone. I'm not talking about insects, okay, and the ants and the butterflies and the houseflies and everything. Life with abundance. Heaven is a dream place. So death is our key to get in there. Death is our graduation to get in there. Death is our celebration, our enjoyment session to be able to get there. But of course, that's why I said who goes to heaven, because you have to be able to live right here to be able to get there too, so that you don't have a life of regret. My God, I've only looked at 5 chapters and I am looking at the time. The time is approaching. Well, that's your problem. If you want it, you go and get it on Amazon. Why should I tell you everything, by the way? So there is even no need for it. So go and get this book, How to Overcome the Fear of Death by yourself. You can do it. So let people talk first. Then we'll read your comment later on. So get your comments ready. Put your comments, whatever you are thinking about what I've been saying. And let's hear your impressions. You need to come closer, please. Yeah, let's hear your impressions about what you've heard today.
Yes, so to me first, when I was thinking about death and what death means to me, I was thinking about home before Pastor Sunday was talking, because I just came to the conclusion that, you know, we are all spiritual beings in essence. And
somebody is writing, I am ready. I feel like going to heaven right now. Amen. So I can experience all these things that Pastor Sunday is talking about. I want to go now. You see, I said the fear of death goes. You would rather want to die.
Yeah, so I was thinking home. That's the only thing that I was connecting death to, because as I said, I think we all are, you know, spirit in essence. But I never went to imagine or go deeply into how heaven would look like. What I would have in mind is, you know, the streets of gold that, you know, usually we talk about, or you would have angels singing around all the time, and things would just be very holy and glorious and, you know, white, definitely. But I haven't spent time thinking about how would heaven look like, you know, and because, I mean, you know, as biomasters, we just don't tend to spend the time thinking about these things. You know, we live in the here and now. All we focus on is our flesh and the things that are physical. So we don't spend time thinking about these things. For me, this was really exciting. I became very, very excited to know more. And to be honest, when Pastor started talking, I was thinking about Twilight. I don't know if any of you know Twilight, but this is, you know, this vampire science fiction kind of book that one author wrote. She wrote a book about it, and then it was put into film. So I was thinking about it because one of the experiences that you have as a vampire in that book is to experience everything much more intensely. So you know, when it comes to, I don't know, flowers or colors, anything, you feel them very intensely. But thinking about this and thinking about science fiction in general, I realize now that we have the capacity to think, you know, to think into that realm, that spiritual realm. And I've seen it so often on television and in books that people try.
Look what somebody is saying. It's like Pastor Sunday has visited them a couple of times.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because to me, it looked like you were there. Like Pastor Sunday was there and has somehow seen it. And, you know, it's like we've all have the capacity and the glimpse, but it's like he really tuned into the spirit in a way that, you know, most of us are just incapable of doing. And it made sense for me, because if you look at the fact that we actually wake up because of daylight, you know, when we sleep, we turn off the light and it gets dark outside. But our spirit reacts to the fact that it becomes bright outside. So that's how we wake up. And also the fact that our brains don't ever shut down when we go to bed. It all confirms that, you know, our spirits are never actually in need of sleep. So all the things that he's saying, to me, it makes sense if you really think about it, even with the capacity that you have as a human, you know, who may not be as developed in your spirit. So I just look very forward to it. And the only thing personally that I'm thinking about is just that I die when the time comes, you know, just like Dr. Sunday has said, the ideal thing would be to die or to have accomplished everything that you need to accomplish once you're 40. So that is really my aspiration. I want to do everything as soon as possible, and to really be able to anticipate death with joy and knowing that, you know, I have accomplished everything that I have to do, and then I can go and enjoy myself. So I love it, and I really look forward to this book. I want to read it, and I want to prepare myself. I think it's going to help us to never lose the focus, you know, because we should not live for.
You know, that's why I am. For me, because of what I know, I can't understand why you people are talking about big men of God, though people cannot access them. Heaven is different, though. Heaven, there is no geo. I tell you, there is no geo, no bishop. Even though you have positions there also, but it's not like position on the head like that. All of us are like, you cannot touch, you cannot hug, you are too focused on earth. You are too focused on sin and on dirt. But if you are a son of your father who is in heaven, if you are a citizen of your native land, my sister, my love, my brother, you know, you will live a little bit above all these thoughts of, you know, evil, immorality, accusations, and emptiness. You will reflect God, my dear. So for me, it's not even. I'm not even sacrificing to come low, to be like my citizen, to be like at home. That's how people are in my father's place. That's how home is like. That is just one side of it. Then some people also talk about, people, falling in love with, money. People become, infatuated with money. And they want to have cars. See the way, I don't know if you have seen pictures or of our men of God, that their cars will come, full protocol and things and power. People are infatuated with power. So everybody they climb the road, they climb everybody away. All that kingdom citizens, these are church members too. They climb them away, and everything. Just do like as if it's a movie or president. The behavior in this kingdom, that's why the disciples could go and lie in the bosom of Jesus. They didn't even care. They would have said he's homosexual, but he didn't even care because he knows what everyone is like. Not true, I tell you. Okay, wow. It's totally different. So all the things people are focusing on, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder that have they not tested it? Have they not really been there? Have they not really? Don't they know the reality of home? Don't they know what we are bringing here? We are supposed, as if they are not bringing
the kingdom.
Yeah, it's as if they are not even aware of it or how it looks now, how it's supposed to be. As if they are being informed from here, from the earth, rather than they informing the earth from heaven. It's a lot of struggles.
Yeah, so I really, I think it helps us to go back to focus, focus on the kingdom, focus on heaven, but it also gives us an image, Now I feel like I understand why Pastor is so excited about, going to Nigeria and building Nigeria, and why he's not interested in politics and, the things that people say he should do. He's focusing on building that nation, now it all makes sense, and it's so much more attractive to me now, and I feel like, wow.
Some people are saying, me, I've already ordered my own book.
Yeah.
People are already confessing that they have ordered their book already. Why the thing has not landed yet?
Yeah, I have ordered mine as well. This is just, wow. I feel so excited, really, and I just have the confirmation that Nigeria is going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful, and Africa is going to be glorious. If you just listen to this, it is, I don't know. I feel like dancing. It's amazing.
I dance every day. I dance all the time.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I dance every day. That's why when people have to go to events, experience or hallelujah, something to, to enjoy God or to enjoy themselves or to they say they want to go. I don't understand it. This is what you're supposed to be having on your own. Better that there is no program that can give me the kind of praise and worship that I'm having on my own every day. In fact, when I go to a program, it's a loss because I cannot be on my own and just enjoy my God and in truth and in spirit and in truth. Because when everybody is there in the crowd, it deprives me of that, you see. But it's important for me to be in spirit and in truth. That is when the real praise and worship take place. And that's where it takes place. But when I need to go to... So when I'm seeing people doing that, I say, my God. And I'm trying to say, everybody saying, Pastor, so we cannot even praise. I think I'm just like, it's not like I'm coming from... I don't even know. Sometimes even myself, I just say, okay, I'll just keep quiet. Because it's like either I'm spoiling everybody's life or lifestyle. Because I'm coming from a different place. I'm coming from a different insight, a different understanding. And I guess... if people have not been there, maybe it's tough for them.
I just want to say the last thing is that I wish you could talk more about it, because it's just...
I have a whole book, 300 pages.
Yes, I know, but it's just...
And I have part 2. It's not been translated yet.
Oh, wow. Okay. So there's a lot...
And I have part 3 that has not been written yet.
Wow. I feel like this should be, I don't know, made even more tangible. Like it has
a
to...
film.
Yeah. It deserves more. Much more. So, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, Pastor.
Yeah.
Please
Going
come
back
close to your seat.
Just going back to where Pastor began with the fear of death. I was one person that was so scared of death. I mean, to the extent that I'll be having nightmares when I think of death. And I would think about just seeing even my brother or my sister or my mother or my father dead, and I couldn't stand just the sight of it. So until, I actually met the Lord and I began to get understanding of where I've come from and where I will be going to. That's when I was delivered from that fear. So when Pastor talks about statistics being the high statistics showing that fear of death is, the highest fear, I can really understand what he's saying. It was a horrible feeling that sometimes just thinking about seeing my loved one dying, I would say, I think I better die first because even though I'm scared of death, I don't even want to see my loved one die. That's how afraid I was of death. But I thank God that he opened my eyes and really set me free. When Pastor is talking and describing heaven, I think he's gone a deeper level. But this thing is real.
And I never saw any vision, no.
This thing is
I never saw any
real.
vision of heaven, but I'm experiencing it.
Yeah, it is.
I'm living
It is
it.
real. When I've stayed with the Lord and I've worshipped, I just fellowship with the Lord. Sometimes I'll come out and I see my husband and I couldn't believe that it's still him. I see a different person. He's so handsome, and I'm like, this man looks different. But it's because I've stayed in the presence of God. And it's all my cells, they've come alive. And I can sense, I see differently. And the same thing, when I'm worshiping the Lord, from the little understanding that I have of what heaven is, I see myself there. I see myself walking on the streets of gold. I see myself talking with these flowers. I see them moving up, down, and up, down. Sometimes I see myself just kneeling before Daddy God.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
And it's a wonderful experience. But you see, when we started, I was saying to Pastor Kiru, I said, I'm not dying. And he said, everybody's going to die. But what I meant there was, for me, for now, my focus is on bringing that heaven here. That's my focus for now. Because when I look at the community in which I am, I've spoken to some ladies there, and they too are so scared of death. In fact, I thank God for this book, because I'm going to take it back. I spoke to a lady, she said that she has nightmares, she goes into depression, just thinking about death.
Are you serious?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
so
girl.
this thing is really, it is really serious. So Pastor, thank you for this book. We definitely need this book. But I want to still experience more of heaven while I'm here. Sometimes I go into the church and they begin worship, and it's as if I'm not there. And then I start to make some moves that people just wonder. But when I say, how great is our God, I see the greatness.
Yes.
I see it, and the thing, sometimes every cell of my body comes alive. Then I can imagine being there.
Yeah.
Wow. So thank you so much, Pastor. Thank you. And I really just hope people really get it and, get into this book and get to experience heaven on earth. So that's it for me.
Oh, wow. Wow, 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 wow. I mean, just listening to Dr. Sunday talk about heaven, it's mind-blowing and so vivid and real. You don't even have to be there to
To experience it.
to begin to feel that, And it's,
Even your jet lag didn't disturb it.
there's no jet lag because the energy from the words just sustains you beyond the normal bodily capacity, And I really thank you so much for the effort you put into capturing that into a book, because a lot of us capture these, but we don't crystallize it and translate it to the earth the way it's useful. In 2004,
Conversion. It stands to conversion, because some people are in the spirit. Some people have even gone to heaven, but they cannot write the God.
Exactly.
Some people have even died and seen something, but they cannot convert. It's about conversion.
Yeah. Thank you
Conversion
so
is
much.
very
I really
important.
appreciate you, sir, for this.
You remember I spoke about how to convert intangible, spiritual experiences. That's what I try to do there.
It's amazing. It's really, and it's one of the things that I've learned from you between September and now. In 2004, I was actually, transported to heaven in the morning, one morning. So most of the things you're describing it's true, and I bear witness to that. It's true. This is true. This is how you know somebody who knows God, because you're describing exactly how it was. The music you hear once you step into heaven, it will melt your body.
Yes.
You wouldn't contain the music.
Yes.
With the earthly body, just stepping into heaven and hearing that music, it infuses into your cells. Like, so when I was talking about the cells waking up,
Yes.
I could relate. It's as if I was reliving that experience. Your cells, you're not hearing it in your ears. You're hearing it. Every fiber of your being is inundated by that music that is just coming from that, wherever it is, the music was coming from. Then the sweetness of God. And the Bible says the goodness of God leads men to repentance. God doesn't need to intimidate you to receive him. He just needs to shine that goodness on you. And that sweetness is what draws you. The Bible says the goodness of God draws men to repentance. And you could equate it if somebody who loves alcohol, you get a high out of alcohol. Just imagine these are things on the earth. You get a high off of cocaine. You snuff cocaine. I've never snuffed cocaine. I've never, had weed. But I can imagine the kind of high, from the description, the spirit, the word spirits, when you take alcohol, we call them spirits, and then it just transports you into another realm where you're so high and so bold, and this is physical things on the earth that are so limited. Now imagine them multiplied 1,000 times in the spirit, where God's word is coming directly and is stronger than those spirits, stronger than those chemicals on the earth that we can snuff and take us to that high, and the sweetness of God, the goodness of God. Then another thing I got away with that experience was learning without time. Here, if you want to be a doctor, you need to go to school for 10 years to acquire all the information you need. You are bound by time in graduating from one class to the other class. But in heaven, you don't need to go through time. All the 10-year material is downloaded within a second into your spirit. You are automatically acquiring information you can acquire within 10 years, within nanoseconds. You can sit down and start writing books because of what, the knowledge that was coming, and then reflecting the love of God You know, when Pastor was, Dr. Senna was talking about to transmit the love of God, transmitting that love. Because it's only when you've actually felt that love that you can actually transmit that love. It's when you've experienced that love from God that you can fully try to express the capacity of the love that you're feeling right now from God. You know, and that love, the abundance mentality that infuses into you, that no limits in anything. The limitation of time, limitation of food, scarcity, all these things are just taken away, and you can actually have that abundance. And I think sometimes for me, that's where I try to live in when I'm talking to or relating with people, because I see myself in the abundance of God and the abundance of all He has right now. So when I'm talking to you based off of that abundance, not of what I physically have in my pocket, but I'm talking from the level of the abundance. Just imagine the ocean being connected to my brain, and I'm speaking like, you know, through that wealth of the ocean, just communicating that abundance. I'm not seeing lack, I'm not seeing, you know, scarcity, but I'm communicating that love, you know. Eating from every pore, like, you know, Dr. Osina was talking about the music, the revelation, the radiation of love of God. And you know, Dr. was talking about people who struggle to show the love of God. You know, people who struggle to transmit the love of God because you've not actually been plugged into that love. It takes you to be connected to that love to be able to become a conduit. When I was talking about a steward, to become a conduit of that love to a dying world. And this is actually the only way we can make impact, if we can connect to that love. If we know that the source of that love, know the abundance, the capacity of that love, and we can be able to communicate that love, you know. So because a lot of things we do on the earth is just religious. We assume stuff. We assume this is who God is, but we've not felt the love of God.
Yeah.
You know, there was an incident in my life. I went through times where fear just engulfed me, and all I had to do was the Spirit of God opened me to an experience where I was teleported into the throne room. The amount of strength, the amount of energy. The Father God, you know, just let me give you an example now. Let's say you see a big snake, you know, python, and you're afraid. You know, I'm trying to create fear now. Now, just looking at that fear, and then you look at the throne room, you now see that this beast here is greater than this beast that you're afraid of. And this beast here is for you and infused into you, so you can face this beast with that confidence that's coming from the throne, with that majestic energy coming from the Father, with all that glory, strength, power. And just imagine him standing beside you. This is what the demons saw when Jesus stepped into that land. The demon said, "Have you come to torment us?" He hasn't even said anything because they could see the strength from the Father. They could see the energy from the Father.
Yeah, they are scared.
They are scared. They started shaking. Jesus has not said a word because greater was he that is in him. And I feel like this is the only way you can communicate God, when you're transported into that reality of the kingdom and bring that kingdom down. And just imagine the Father with you when he says, "I will be with you. I will go with you." You know, when he says, "I will be with you," when I came out of that experience, I was telling people, God is the greater beast. Whatever beast is facing you, there is a greater, stronger, more powerful being. And then I saw this one and I was shaking in fear and I was sweating. And then I saw the Father on the throne room. And the energy that came out of the Father flushed out the fear of death, flushed out the fear of whatever it is that wanted to swallow you, the Father just infusing into you, the Father just becoming part of you, and just transmitting himself into you and saying, I am inside of you. And then all you do, so sometimes when Dr. Sunday talks about, I don't even pray for demons, all I have to do is to channel the Father. See the Father in me. That's all you need to do. Channeling the Father, the devil's scamper. You know, channeling the love of God, channeling that blessing, the infusion of love, infusion of that life of heaven, just living in that reality of heaven, reality of the abundance of wealth, abundance of money, abundance of love, abundance of goodness, abundance of sweetness. And in that experience, there was like water just falling on me. And that water was entering into my body. I just couldn't take it. I was shaking. I was saying, no, I can't take this. So, and the angel was, standing by me, was telling me, stay in it, stay in it. And I tried to contain that love. So when Dr. Sunday is talking about all your cells coming alive, that's the glory, and visiting a place where pain is gone, death is gone, because you're already dead. No, you're not dead. You're actually alive. You went through the gate of death. So death is no more an issue. But now there is no limitation, because even when you stare death in the face, it's a forgone issue, but there's no limits. So in this place, in this realm, in this glorious state, you don't want to come back to the earth because it's a limitation. You've gone into, it's a transportation to a different realm. So the word death is not a condemnation, it's a transportation, it's a metamorphosis. It is a change of state to a more powerful state where all your senses are awake, all your being, everything in you, we're talking about love just seeping into you, and this is the experience I was having when I went there, and it was just, I just couldn't contain it. I just couldn't contain it. But eventually I did, because, it's not going to kill you. I have never tasted so much sweetness.
Your body cannot.
I've never tasted so much sweetness, and the sweetness that came in that atmosphere, the music, the love, the presence, the glory, it was so powerful.
Glory to God.
That now on the earth to talk about God, it's a reality, it's a presence, it's true. So when Dr. Sunday was talking about your body feeding, everything wakes up. You see people, you know them by name. You see an angel, I saw David. I knew he was David. He didn't have to introduce himself to me. And in that vision, he walked up to me with a jar and poured it on my head. And he said, this is a jar of grace. And it just, oh, Lord. It wasn't through my mouth. It was through my skin. And I was feeding. And it was saying, he said something to me, in that vision. He was saying, grace, he said, life is not fair. Grace is not fair. Just as life is not fair, grace is a remedy for fair. And the grace of God was just, it was indescribable with words. Words are limited. That's why we speak in tongues, because there is no words to describe it. So when you go into tongues and you say things like kababa, la 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 shi, you needed something more glorious to express your love for the Father. Because even in the presence of the Father, your words will fail you. The only things, sometimes, when I woke in that vision as I was waking, I was low, I was just in tongues, because words were limited. They were limiting the spirit to express its love for God, and the love that is feeding into that spirit, and the love that is coming out. And this is actually what God wants us to do on the earth, to transmit that love, to show it on the earth, to begin to, download it and begin to infuse it to other people. So I really, really, really thank you so much, sir, for just capturing this in the book and bringing it to us.
Yeah, so it's going to be a reality for anybody to just go and take it and read. Yeah. Any other person want to say anything? Okay, no problem. Okay, let me show you the book again. We need to get ready in the next 30 minutes for the next program. But let me show them the book again. It's not there. So go get it on Amazon. It's not on Akada yet, but it will be there by next week. But it's on Amazon. So enjoy victory over death. Hallelujah. So see you people in 30 minutes time. We'll be back.